want to get you a couple videos just to kind of show you how to proof and work through the heel command and kind of talk about some of the stuff that we're doing. So I want to show you a couple with the stroller, without the stroller. So when teaching a heel, when a dog understands the heel position really well, adding a stroller is not a big deal. It's when a dog doesn't understand the placement of where they need to be that when you add the stroller, then there's confusion. So with Bambi, we're working a lot with her finding that position, and so we're doing that with a lot of different ways to communicate. So one thing that we're using is the e-collar, another thing that we're using is the leash, and the third thing that we're using is body language. So if she gets a little bit lackluster and distracted by me talking, or if there's another dog, or you know, some of that stuff, we want to make sure that we're really zeroing in on her focus and position. So when we lose focus, we tend to lose position. Sometimes it's a matter of time, like a dog. So she's kind of engaged, she's doing really good. And sometimes when a dog is still learning this, they can still have focus but still need help with position. So both of those things play a role, and both of those things that we're going to be rewarding when she's there and correcting when she's not. So she's interesting with the e-collar, and we've kind of talked about this in our sessions of she's really low when we're inside, when there's not a lot of distractions, and she could work up to like upwards of like 20s, 25s when kids like the bus stop is here, like so if kids are getting off the bus and stuff like that kind of stuff, she's so zeroed in. And I wouldn't say that's uncommon, especially with a younger dog. And so what we want to do is we want to look at, is she understanding the e-collar even if we're turning it up? So turning it up isn't the thing that makes me nervous or anything like that, especially if a dog is just totally checked out and like 25, they're like, oh, hey, there's something there. Like, it's not these like big come to Jesus or anything like that where she's jumping out of her skin. It's just literally like, oh, hey, there's something there. I want to make sure she knows what to do with it. And so we're adding different types of pressure with the leash. So sometimes Alexis here will do a little tug on the leash, like as she's going away or she's distracted, there's some people out, and so she's a little bit distracted, and so she'll tug. So she's adding pressure as well as the e-collar. So sometimes that we don't have to necessarily always increase levels. Sometimes we do if it's still not enough, but it just kind of depends on the dog and the situation. And so playing with levels, like what it would look like, you know, with me, if it was just me and her on the walk and I couldn't tell if she was feeling it, it's going to be pretty obvious, like when you're pressing it, and you guys have talked about this with me, where you're pressing it and there's just like no connection with her. I also think if she gets groomed and has a little bit of a shorter coat, she's going to feel it a little bit more frequently. I do think that her coat density, how thick her coat is, makes it a little bit harder. So I find like the thicker the dog is, the snugger the collar has to be. And so we can play with maybe even like getting her shaved down, and so that, you know, she's so cute, she's got the best little length, but sometimes I think it's harder for her to feel the e-collar, or even if you brush her neck really good prior and then you put the e-collar on, that can kind of help break up some of the thick curliness of her coat. But yeah, so she's doing really well with this. And so we're gonna show you a couple other things here in a bit of how we're really proofing. Good job, girl. It's like, I thought about getting in front of you, but I better be right next to you. She's doing good.